Hello, everyone. So, sorry about the delay and technical difficulties. So, I've been playing this cool little game, the Techade game on Pluralsight, and I thought I was a super hardcore retro hardware geek until I took this game, and the best score I got was 22 out of 45. So, what I'm doing now is I'm going to do a live stream. We're going to open up the chat. Let me make sure that's here and available. And we're just going to kind of crowdsource this. We'll just take a bunch of people hammering at this quiz, and we'll see what we can do and see how well we can do on this quiz. So I'll get this set up here. And I did have some problems with the chat room previously, last time, where the chat room wasn't loading up. So I'm really hoping, and I see a message here from Steven, so it looks like it is working. All right, I will go ahead and load up this screen. All right, cool. Looks like it's here. It looks like we have Facebook chat in here at least. And I don't know if it's going to, because I set up a scheduled stream and it expired, so I don't know if this is going to hit YouTube or not. I'm hoping it does. But at the very least, let me check here, make sure. We are on Twitter and LinkedIn. So let's begin. This is the ultimate Techade Quiz. So this thing is really cool. It's really addictive. I sat and hammered on it for a while, and some of them were like super easy, things that I've owned, like the Game Boy, things like that. Some of them I was not able to guess at all. And my wife sat for like an hour and a half on the couch, just hammering at this thing. It was hilarious. She didn't want my help. She didn't want to Google. She just wanted to like hammer at it, and she did really well on it also. So I guess we'll just start. Yeah, it looks like my YouTube stream isn't working. Because that link expired, so that's all right. Let's start with the very first one. Which one is this? Let's start with the very first one. We'll do an easy one just to show. So when you get it right, it will come up and say that you got it right, and you can see up here in the corner it says 1 out of 45, and then there's a little trivia thing here. The first ad for the iPhone, when you get it right, blah blah blah. Pretty cool. All right, Steven, I'm going to need your help. You beat me on this. Can anyone guess what this one is? Actually, I'm just going to go through and we'll hit the easy ones. Game Boy. Created a global smash hit out of Tetris. That's what I played on Game Boy the most. That's what I think everybody played the most on Game Boy back in the day when that thing was awesome. Lots of Tetris. All right, and this next one, the most solid mobile phone ever made. We're gonna go with. There we go. I did not know it was the 3210, but I knew it was a Nokia. I had one of these, ran it over with my truck. So it did actually kill it. That was sometime a long time ago. But I also beat him up, and I had a Nokia that for many years that I just thrashed on. One of the first mobile phones with advertising and features including 3 preloaded games, swappable covers, and T9 text entry. One of the first mobile phones with advertising and features including 3 preloaded games, swappable covers, and T9 text entry. Check something real quick here. I keep hearing myself come back to myself, so I'm wondering if there's an echo or a delay or something. I keep hearing myself come back to myself, so I'm wondering if there's an echo or a delay or something. Just a second here. All right, how about now? Next one. Who could forget the iPod? I was so high tech back in the day when I bought this overpriced stereo that had the iPod hookup, and then I had to buy the iPod, and it sat in my console. And actually, come to think of it, it's probably more convenient than how I do it now with my phone, because I just had a little iPod sitting in the console of my car, and I could beep, 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 beep. It's probably more convenient than now where I have my phone, and then a phone call comes in or text, and it interrupts the music. This, the 5 1/4 floppy. Floppy disk. 1972. Would you have guessed that, Lindsay? That this thing was invented in 1972? I remember when these things were fancy in the 80s, but I didn't realize they were that old. That's crazy. Now we've got a challenging one. I have no idea what this is. Some sort of projector. I'm going to try projector first. Negative. The capacity of a 5 1/4 floppy disk originally was 360K, and then up to 1.2 megabytes, I think, when they went double-sided. So like smaller than a picture that we take with our phone now by a long shot. Let's see. I kind of feel like I want to Google this one because this one's crazy. Looks like it's from the 70s. I think I'll skip this one for now because I know what this one is. The Salmon Game. Still a fun game, by the way, if you can find it in a store or in like Goodwill or something. Simon's still pretty fun. Welcome, Jared, to the chat. That is a Magnavox Odyssey. What? Wow. I've never even heard of that. Static cling overlays and various game-specific designs created the color visuals for each game. That is cool. Thanks for that answer. I would have never guessed Magnavox Odyssey. And this one is the one that started it all for Microsoft. If any of you know, this is the Altair. So Bill Gates went wandering into this company, and they had this Altair, and there were a bunch of switches and lights, and people were building stuff for it. They were building like tape, or not tape, but like punch tape programs for it. And Bill Gates went in there and said, "Oh, I'll make an operating system for this thing." And the guy was like, "Yeah, we don't need that. We're good." And then finally pushed his way in, and that's how Microsoft got started, was with the Altair. And I've wanted to find one of these for a long time to like put up in the background or something, because you can't do much with them, but I haven't really looked lately, but they were pretty overpriced for a time. this guy. Let's say this is an iMac. Oh, it is the G3. I believe I still have one of these tucked away in a closet in my shop that belonged to my sister-in-law, and she was like, you can have it if you want. So I'm gonna like put Linux on it or something someday, try to make it do something. But the first computer to adopt USB as an exclusive standard. USB in the 90s was a nightmare for any of you that were into computing in the 90s, especially with Windows ME. One of my first jobs was as tech support, and that's all I did was tell people to reinstall their USB drivers in Windows ME, and then it was like, oh, it's not working? Well, it's probably not ever going to work. Reinstall your whole operating system. Good times. Welcome, Tom. The one and only Tom Massey, everybody. This is the Commodore 64. If I just put in Commodore. Oh, there we go. Commodore 64. Spent a lot of hours on a machine like this. It was well after it was new and awesome, but I still hacked away on this sucker for a long time. Highest selling single computer model of all time. It's not a surprise. Some of you who are old and ancient like me might remember these in school. We had these, and then I think this one. I'm going to guess it right now. See if it's an Apple IIe. Had these in high school too. Nope. What are they? Oh, it's Macintosh 128K. Very cool. We had these in school way back in the Stone Age, and we would hope that our dinosaurs wouldn't step on them and stuff. But these were cool machines, like a little black and white interface. Yeah, there we go. Spy versus Spy. Yeah. What was that other game on the Commodore? I'm trying to remember the other one. That was really cool. I think Oregon Trail was on the Commodore too, or maybe it was on the 2E. This bad boy. This would be the Atari 2600. Let's see what the trivia. The last mega popular home gaming system before the home video game market crashed in the mid-80s. So here's an interesting bit of trivia about the Atari 2600. I had one of these too, also kind of after it was a little older, and I had it hooked up to this little black and white TV that was like 12 inches or something. My parents found it at a garage sale. They're like, if you want to play these video games, here you go. And we spent hours staring at that black and white TV. The reason this is called an Atari 2600 is pretty interesting. And it starts with the beginning of Apple, actually. So at a whistle, if you whistled at 2600 hertz with like a tone generator or a Captain Crunch whistle that came in a little, it was like a little whistle that came in a cereal box, would make this tone, and it would help you get free phone calls on payphones back in the 70s. And so Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak got together and they built these blue boxes, which would generate these 2600 hertz tones and other tones and get free phone calls. And so the 2600 kind of, that number became kind of cool. And so when Steve Jobs was working with Atari and Wozniak was a programmer, they slipped that in so that the Atari 2600 had that, and 2600 magazine still exists to this day. So that's where that number comes from. Break-in. Oh, that's bacon spell. So Stephen and Lindsay and I actually met each other from going through different boards where people were doing freaking phone losers. They're mostly about prank calls now, but they used to be a lot about freaking and phone stuff, and it's kind of cool. This is definitely a calculator, I think. I'll just put calculator. Somebody's got to know the exact brand of this calculator. I don't. Let's see. It doesn't look like a Texas Instruments, which I know Steven knows Texas Instruments stuff. This looks like a Polly Pocket toy over here. This calculator I couldn't get. Me either. Yeah, we'll try TI. We'll try Texas. What? Dizzycom? Alright, well. Dang, 1971. The first pocket-sized calculator and the first to use an LED display. That is pretty cool. I've never actually seen one of these before. At least that I'm aware of. My mom used to have this ancient, gigantic calculator that I think she still has. That was pretty cool. And it was probably came out shortly after this one did. This guy here. Trying to figure out if that's a seat, like a chair that you sit in, where you look at overhead. Yeah, I have no idea. I'm sure it's not Polly Pocket, but I'm going to put in some, let's see, transparency. No. I'm trying to remember the name for that. What is the name of those freaking little slides you look at when you go to the library? The old folks need to throw into this one. You zoom in on the page a little more. I think so. Yeah, I could zoom in pretty. That does make it a little bit easier, doesn't it? This thing, I don't know what the heck this thing is. And I'm wondering if that's a chair or if that's, because it looks like a chair that you sit in, like a big giant console. I'll type in console. Nope. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Microcache or microfiche. Microfiche. Oh. I remember using these things when you had to go to the library to look something up, like back in the 80s. No idea. We'll come back to that one. The greatest video game console of all time, the Nintendo Entertainment System. Wasted many hours of my youth on this particular console and still spend time playing the games off of this console because it's awesome. One of the most popular games, Super Mario Brothers, pioneered the side-scroller genre. Yeah, that was the best. They say your favorite video game system is whatever one that you used when you were 12 years old. I read that somewhere. Absolutely accurate for me with the Nintendo because I had one of those when I was 12 and that's pretty much all I did was blow out cartridges and play all those different games. This, I believe, I mean, it's not a laptop, I don't think. Timex. Oh, the Timex Sinclair. Nice one, Steven. As advertised, the first computer under $100. Man, that's cheap enough. I could have had one of those as a kid, and I didn't for some reason. Welcome, Scott 3. I know what this is, even though I was too old to play it when it came out. Just got to get the... Oh, there we go. I did get the spelling. Yeah, I was, I think, 19 when these came out, so I was a little old. This one is the one that everybody PM'd me about, and I finally got it. I hammered out probably 50 different terms into this thing, and this is one that my wife got hung up on too. Steven got hung up on. We all kind of got hung up on it until I remembered that my grandma had one. And the little blue, red, and green here is the hint for this one. But I remember my grandma had one. It was in one of those big giant cases with the record player and the frickin' speaker, and it was a huge paperweight. This is a Trinitron. If I can spell it right. There we go. Sony Trinitron. So, I mean, these were probably durable devices because I remember my grandma having one in like the 80s and 90s. And if it was invented in 1968, then that meant it was at least 20 years old at this time. Dominated the television market from the late 60s to mid 90s. Patent protection ran out and competitors were able to rush in with similar designs at lower prices. I can't imagine wanting to copy that big giant boxy thing. Back then it probably made sense. This thing. Oh, I know what this is. This, I believe, is the Zune. Looks like it. Yep, the Zune. Short-lived response to the Apple iPod, the Zune was the first Microsoft product to use this, I don't know, Segway typeface? Not really sure, which was later used as the font for Microsoft's new corporate logo. I remember this because I had one and I liked it and I thought it was awesome, and it was dead by the time I bought it. I think I bought it and it was cool, and by the time I got to the parking lot, it wasn't cool anymore. It was a very short-lived device. And this, as you can probably guess by looking at it, is a punch card. Is that what it's? Yeah, there we go. IBM punched card. The first method of storing and inputting data for digital computers. I worked at a company that did these underground vaults, and they had a computer that used one of these. They didn't use it very much. I don't even remember what it was used for, but it was from the 70s, and they had stacks of those punch cards up. It was kind of crazy. And that was in like 2000, 2001, somewhere around there. So they were using that thing for a long time. This, I still carry one of these to this day. I do not have my pager in here, but this is a pager. And yeah, I still carry one of these. Basically, the only people that have pagers anymore are doctors, firefighters, paramedics. But they still exist, believe it or not. Japan's last page provider was still active until October 2019 when it finally terminated its service. Those things were cool. Everybody knows what this bad boy is, right? Whoops. Eight-track. Ford first offered 8-track tape players in 1966 in Mustang, Thunderbird, and Lincoln. It does kind of look like an MP3. Looks like there's a little bit of delay in the chat room, so I might sit and wait for answers to come in when I don't know. This is an 8086, but I don't know if that's what it'll register as. I remember I got it before. Let's try IBM. Yeah, this is the original IBM. There we go. IBM PC, 1981. The IBM PC's launch initiated the creation of PC Magazine. Scott says 8088 technically. Yeah, I think so. Actually, I think you're right. The very, very first one was. I think you're right. I stand corrected. Not the 8086. But I believe it is the 8088. This. At first, I thought this was the internet off of the IT crowd, but the internet didn't have the fancy wood grain. So this one is definitely a mystery to me too. I'm gonna guess box. The mouse. Oh, is this the original remember the company that invented it now. Yeah, the first computer mouse. Was originally referred to as a bug by its inventor, Douglas Engelbart. Very cool. Distortion pedal. Actually, kind of does look like a distortion pedal a little bit too. All right, who had one of these? This bad boy is the Palm. I think it's the Palm Pilot. Yeah. Prior to its development, Jeff Hawkins experimented carrying a block of wood the size of a Palm Pilot in his pocket for a week. It's actually a pretty good idea. There's no way I'm going to guess this one. This probably is an old MP3 player or something. If they even had MP3s when it was invented. Looks very 90s to me. Talk Boy from Home Alone. Oh, that must have been, yeah, that was early 90s. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Before it was commercially available, the Talk Boy was conceived by writer John Hughes as a prop for. Oh, sweet. So it sounds like it was a concept product for the movie and then made into a real product. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll zoom in here just a little bit. Actually, I could just... The site's really responsive. I noticed it works great on mobile and desktop pretty well, so... Anyone have any idea what this thing is yet? This thing is weird. It's a chair. I'm convinced that's a chair, but... Maybe we'll come back to that one at the end when we're all out of cool stuff. All right. What on earth is this? It looks like a brick phone, but when I typed in brick, it didn't work. So it is some kind of cell phone. It might be that very first one. Dynatac, that's what I was looking for. I just talked about this on the podcast as one of the first mobile phones. Let's see if I can... Oh, there we go. Thank you. Got it. Dynatac 8000X. The first commercially available mobile phone. Retailed for nearly $4,000 in 1984 and required a 10-hour charge for 30 minutes of talk time. Incredible. I remember my dad had a cell phone. He was a contractor at the time, and he had a cell phone in 1989 or 90, and I remember using it to call one of my buddies and how mad he got because it was like super crazy expensive. I just picked it up and I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm talking to you from my dad's truck. Let's see. This thing looks like one of those goofy bass things that they sold in the 90s, the big bass booster boxes that you'd put in your car to make your trunk rattle. I have to zoom out just a little. There we go. Kodak Brownie. I only know that because my dad was a photographer. That is cool. I've never seen one of these before. Oh, 1900. Holy moly. Named for the fairy-like creatures in Palmer Cox's comic series, The Brownies. That's pretty cool. I wonder how many of these exist to this day. This IBM laptop. Hipster camera, yeah. I was doing photography before it was cool. I wonder if it's one of those ones where you have to stand still for a half hour for it to develop. That's why everybody looks mad in the 1900s, right? Only 1900 kids would understand, exactly. I'm just going to type in IBM here because it's not. I thought it was an IBM. It looks like a ThinkPad, but yeah, there we go. It doesn't have the little red dot there, though. Oh, and that's exactly what Scott 3 said. It needs the little red dot. During the 90s, ThinkPads were used as a general support computers on the space shuttle. Good old ThinkPad. This one, speaking of putting Linux on things, this particular device was super popular for people to throw Linux on. And if nobody guesses it, I believe it's the Dreamcast. Yep. Well, it's a Dreamcast controller. Considered one of the most ergonomically worst gaming controllers of all time. Yeah, people put a lot of weird operating systems on this Dreamcast. This thing. Let's see. Is it a Betamax? VCR. Kind of looks like a VCR along the top, but it's got all these controllers, which should suggest audio. Receiver. Yeah, I'll try cassette deck. If I can spell it. Oh, JVC VidStar. Yep. Holy moly, 1976. Fill 2 hours of video on one cassette. In other words, making it able to record an entire movie. That's pretty cool. Alright, all the Gen Xers will get this one. Maybe even millennials. Good old Walkman. Kicked off a personal stereo craze that caused cassettes to outsell vinyl in the first time. That's crazy. I remember using these in school, and one of the cool, sly, sneaky things that we did was you could disconnect the little headphone here and then run the wire up your sleeve if you're wearing a long sleeve shirt, and then when you're studying in study hall or class, which at the time at my school was totally outlawed to be listening to Walkman, but you could sit there with your head like kind of on your arm like you're studying or in thought, and you're actually like listening to a Walkman. These days I think kids can just like have AirPods in and teachers don't even care. No idea what this is. It's not an abacus because it doesn't have the sliding, but console. IBM, I don't know. It's one of those things. Anyone have any idea what this thing is? I thought it was an abacus too, but it didn't slide. Yeah, I don't... ENIAC. Yeah, this had to have been a really early computer. 60s or something. Maybe it is a synthesizer. How do I even spell that? It does kind of look like the console from the Whopper. Let's see. Oh, we'll go to another one. Oh, even newer. I don't know what this thing is. Sewing machine? I don't know. It's got a big wheel thing on it. I don't even think I want to guess what this is. Looks like it has a cabinet involved. Is it a sewing machine? No. What is the name of those old radios that they had in the 40s? All right. Everyone think of the old radio brands from the 40s or 50s. RCA. Basically the first mainstream TV. Yeah, the first TVs, you probably had to tune it in with a potentiometer and try to get in the perfect frequency. Oh, it's a Baird televisor? Wow, 1929. The inventor of the first television sold to the public demonstrated the words first colored. Wow, that is pretty cool. I remember reading a long time ago about like television wars and I don't even remember his name now. Farnsworth, I think. There was like a huge war for the first television and people stealing info from each other and stuff. It's kind of cool. Who knows? I've never seen this game console in my life. If these are metal bars that hold it up, that seems really silly. I imagine it clips to a table or something. Has anyone seen this thing? It's clearly a gaming console of some type. Judging by the design, maybe 90s? Is it a Nintendo console? Is this the original Switch? Nope. Yeah, this thing's a interesting design. Virtual Boy. Oh, thanks. Man, 1995. I do not remember this. Rushed to the market so Nintendo could focus on the development of the N64. A chromatic display of the Virtual Boy to cause dizziness and nausea. Oh, that's pretty awesome. So, crappy design and made the user sick. That's great. Quite the success. Yeah, I've never heard of this either. I'm glad they were focusing on the N64. Because, yeah, this one, yikes. Man. Now, I know this as the cell phone that you can drop into a swimming pool and dry it out and use it again for another couple years. The good old Razor. The best-selling clamshell of all time, the Razor led hurt Motorola's ability to develop new technology. Yep, everybody wanted that Razor, including me. I ran those things for till 2009 or something. Computer of some sort. I'm trying to remember what an Amiga looked like, but no, it's not an Amiga. Oh, TRS-80? I thought the TRS-80 had the keyboard was connected to the console. I'll try it, but I think the TRS-80 was like a one-piece. Yeah, that's kind of weird. because if I remember right, the TRS-80 was like a one-piece design all the way through here, like a single gigantic chunk of plastic, but that was the earlier one. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. Model 3 had it connected, so I'm thinking of a newer one than this one. TRS stands for Tandy Radio Shack. RIP Radio Shack, that was the greatest place ever. Manufacturer and retailer of this mass-marketed home computer. Very cool. Sewing machine again. This thing. I don't know what in the heck this is. I don't even know where to start. And just as a heads up, I don't know if anyone can hear it over the microphone, but we got thunder rocking really hard out there. So if I just disappear and I'm gone, it's because I lost power. Oh, what is this thing? Yeah, I think it could be an etcher. I'll put in etcher. Yeah, it does kind of look like a 3D printer and a sewing machine and a very strange microscope with no eye holes. I don't know. First transistor? Oh, the transistor. I don't know what the first transistor looked like. Did I spell that right? Transistor. Oh, it is the first transistor. Nobel Peace Prize for its invention. So I did not know what the first transistor looked like. They're a little smaller now. Nintendo DS. It could be a PlayStation 5. Oh, this kind of looks like one of those micro fiche things. I think it's like a projector. Nope. That's a Xerox Alto. I do not know what the Xerox Alto is. Apple has allowed demonstrations of the Alto in exchange for allowing Xerox. Oh, yeah. This also looks like a Whopper console. I'm just going to try the word console. Looks like 70s. Oh, it's a Univac. Chernobyl, Tom says. There's probably some good used ones in Chernobyl you could get for price. Let's see. Micro something, right? No idea. Put in Apple II and it accepted as Apple I. Is this the original Apple computer? That would be kind of crazy. Yeah, the Apple I. That is pretty cool. Yeah, Scott, that's what I understood the Apple One was also. People would build their own custom wood cases for them and stuff and kind of put them together. And yeah, they had to build their own cases. They had to do their own soldering, all kinds of stuff. This looks like a PlayStation 2. Had an unusually long lifespan for a video game console, being produced from 2000 to 2013, became the best-selling video game console of all time. I didn't know that. It did have a long lifespan. I mean, I played this thing up until probably 2010, somewhere around there. 10 years, good for a console. This one I have zero idea. Some kind of... Oh man, I have no idea. It's some kind of mainframe, but... Corey Anderson, the early Sure ID kiosk. So Corey and I worked together at Sure ID, so that joke is extra funny to me. That may have been used even when we worked there, Corey. No idea. Answer key now. This could be a puncher. Punch. Reader. Desk. It's definitely a desk of some sort. Looks like people can sit there. Sometimes with these I just punch in old brand names and see, but guess we'll have to go back to that one. So I'll probably, yeah, I was gonna say I'll probably go back to it, but there's probably none left, and there is none left. So this is the last one, and I think we have probably. All the way to the top. 42 out of 45. That is awesome for crowdsourcing. I promise I'm not going to click this Twitter button and be like, look how good I did. I'm so awesome at this. But yeah, my actual original score I think was 22 out of 45. So we got Game Boy. Ones that we missed. This thing, I might find that answer key just to, and I heard the answer key was posted on Hacker News or something. Somebody posted it. But I might look at it just to see what the heck this freaking thing is. I'm gonna type in video game. That's what I feel like. It's some kind of simulator console. Apparently that's a Sensorama. Alright, let's type it in. Yeah, no idea. Created the concept of pre-VR multi-sensory viewing activities, experience theater. That's probably really cool for the time. Sensorama. Like early VR, I guess. That's pretty cool. I know we're missing some here. Oh yeah, this thing. I think I already tried console. I probably tried console on like half of these things, I think. Oh, this thing. I need more. Did we already try things like Univac? Alright, we've got the answer. Thank you, Scott3. 1940. No idea. Working replica of Bombay, maybe? Is a Bombay. Put on display at Bletchley Park Museum in 2007. Construction started in 1994 and took 13 years to complete a working replica. So it must be much bigger than this. This is probably like a section. And if it was from 1940, these are probably sockets, which you would just plug in little jumpers to each one. That is cool. I think we got all of them here. Nope. Not that weird thing at the end. Is that our last one? Yeah, 44 out of 45. This thing, I feel like this table part here has some significance. Last one is a Casio 14A, an old desk calculator. Looks like a calculator the size of the entire desk. But I guess that would make sense. That's what the desktop surface here that is. Casio 14A. Semi-portable. As long as you had two people to lift it, I guess. It's semi-portable, all-electric calculator. Very cool. So 45 out of 45. All of these things. That's pretty cool. I'm very impressed with many of the people who have come in here to help me out with this. We got them all. So thank you everybody for joining this stream and throwing in your guesses or reading the answer key and giving the answer through there. Either way, now everybody knows what this thing is. It's still available at techadequiz.com if you want to go take it yourself. And special thanks to Daniel Blazer, who's one of my coworkers, who put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this thing, making it cool. And I think it is really cool. That's why I wanted to stream on this thing, kind of like me playing with it and get other people into it, because it is really cool. It's like addictive. And you know, when he first told me about it, I was like, oh, retro tech, yeah, I'll nail that. And I did not nail that at less than 50%. If it were a quiz, I would have failed it by far. So it's pretty cool and pretty challenging. I think all of these things really fit together in some way for like tech through the decades, going all the way back to 1900. 36 out of 45 without any Googling. That is impressive. That is a lot of these. Just to make a cool museum with just these things. Some of them I recognized right away, but some of them, like the Sensorama, I could have stared at that thing for a year and never figured it out. But it's pretty cool. Yeah. Great quiz. Well, thank you everybody for joining me. And like I said, I've had the URL up here the whole time, the techadequiz.com. Check it out, share it, compare scores with each other. And now I'm going to share this and brag about it online, I guess. But, thank you everyone for joining me, and subscribe to my channels if you want to see my streams in the future.